Hi, and welcome to Module 2 of the Competent Benefits Manager course. I'm going to set out a quick overview of the things that are in the course before you set off and you do the exercises yourself using the toolkit that we're providing with you. So, there's the cycle where you're used to seeing. And in this case, we're going to look at in more detail at the benefits management context. So the first thing we're going to look at is assessing your own maturity, and I'm going to talk that through on a couple of slides in a minute. There are some core principles of effective benefits management that we've learnt about over the last 20 years, and if you have these things in place, then your chances of success are much higher. So I'd like to give you a quick run through on those, and then the role of the benefits strategy. Setting out the environment you in your program are going to operate in will really help to clarify what's going on, your chances of success. Then I'm going to talk quickly about the control documentation, and then think about benefits governance and the hierarchy that you're operating in. All that's going to be covered in this video, so let's crack on. First of all, let's talk about organisational maturity. This is one of those areas that we absolutely have learned so much about. We've done more P3M3 assessments than any other company in the world, several hundred. And so we've learned that the more mature your organisation, the more the chance of success. And benefits management is one of the 7 core perspectives that we look at with every client. And the truth of the matter is the average maturity level for benefits management is below 1. Yeah, it's at best awareness. Most organisations, despite all the hot air, don't really have much of a structure around this. So there's some statements around benefits management maturity, and when you get into the module, there's a little utility that we've created that you can kind of work it out. But in basic terms, if you're at awareness, there won't be much support to you. You're going to be, well, the terms are ad hoc and chaotic, and heroic is the way that your benefits will operate. Largely, this will be defined about whether you operate within a wider portfolio, because the portfolio will tend to set the rules for programs and their benefits management. So that's level 1, ad hoc, chaotic, and heroic, which is basically you're setting your own environments for delivering benefits. Level 2, repeatable. There will be previous examples of this in your organisation. The portfolio may have set some rules, it may have set some standards that you have to operate to, and you may be able to draw on the previous experience of other programs and their benefits approach, what's worked for them and what hasn't worked. Level 3 is defined, which is there is a standard way that you'll be expected to follow. Now, you won't therefore have to start your benefit strategy from scratch. You can basically draw on the other stuff, but there will be rules, so you'll be more confined in the way you operate. At level 4 maturity, you'll have the portfolio and the other programs supporting you, giving you regular information, and they'll have learned from experience. So you won't be a pioneer of this. Your program won't be unique. They'll have been done before and you'll be able to follow them. And level 5, which we've never seen anybody anywhere near in terms of benefits, is optimized. So you'll be as best as you can be. We have seen it in areas like risk and maybe project controls, that area, but there's been no sign of it in benefits management. Okay, so there we go. That's what we are talking about when we talk about organizational maturity. I mentioned earlier that there were some principles of effectiveness that we need to bear in mind. So these are the 6 that we've come up with based on our experiences of lots of organizations of different levels of effectiveness. So number 1, what is the guiding mind for the organization? So what does a benefit mean to you? All right, how are you going to value it? It's basically somebody is in charge of the benefits process for the organization, and it is setting some rules that everybody works to. So you are beyond the level 1 ad hoc and chaotic stuff. You're at least at level 2 and probably at level 3 if that exists. What are the standards? What are the processes you have to follow? somebody needs to have ownership of that. Now, if you're in a low maturity organization where you're delivering this program, or of course that you're delivering this across a number of organizations, then you need to establish this guiding mind. It would normally be the program sponsor or senior responsible owner if you're in a standalone program spanning a number of organizations, but it needs to be recognized. Then we need to have transparency about the evidence base. What data are you going to use to assess the performance improvements and the achievements of benefits? All right, so you don't want to be making these numbers up as you go along. From the outset, you can say, this is how we're going to measure benefits. Is it the total number of people in the organization, their productivity, whatever it is you produce? Are you going to produce more, faster? What is it you're going to use? And you need to be clear where that data is coming from. Then we've got risk-based evaluations, right? So benefits are never certain. So if you say a benefit is worth, I don't know, 100 grand, you need to actually say, how sure are you that that benefit is going to be worth 100 grand? And so using risk likelihood and valuations is really important. So when you're looking at it, you go, okay, well, it could be 100 grand, but based on our experiences, it's more likely to be 70. We should not pursue the 100 grand, but we might only account for 70. So that's what we're talking about in risk evaluation. Attribution of achievement, that's where you give somebody the job and making it happen. So if you've got a benefit of greater efficiency, who is going to make that efficiency happen? Because your project's going to deliver you capability. Somebody's got to turn that capability into performance change. And so you deliver ownership of benefits to individuals or groups. And if it's about saving money, then you would want to attribute it to actually a cost code or a budget and say that's where you're going to see the saving. All right. And really important is change control. Change control in your projects and your capabilities, because if you deliver lesser functionality, then the chances are you won't have the capability you need to deliver those benefits. So you need to have a really robust impact assessment within the program, but also outside the program, because if you're delivering organizational change to structures or the ways of working, if the organization is restructuring outside of your program, then you could be losing the benefits from that. So it's not unusual for organizations to go through annual, every couple of years, to restructure to become more efficient. But those restructurings can totally undermine what your benefits claims are going to be. Even worse, that the benefits in the operations are taken before your program delivers. So they're already removing posts or changing structures that affect it. So it's not just change control of your projects, it's change control of the organizational domain that you're operating in. And then that we have consistent valuations, that each of the business cases coming out of your projects that are claiming the same benefits on a consistent level. And even worse, you've got to watch out that you're not claiming the same benefits as another program or another project in your organization. And the only way you can do that is to have consistent valuations, and that you've got the guiding mind that is doing the tracking of these benefits. Okay, so those things that need to be in place for effective organizations, and they're inherently linked to organizations. So maturity. So if you're at level 1, you'll struggle. You probably won't have this. If you're at level 3 or 4, you absolutely will have this. So for the level 1 and 2 organization maturity programs, you may have to fill the gaps in for yourself. But these 6 principles are relevant inside the program as well as outside. Okay, just thinking about the control documents you need to have in place. We're going to talk a little bit about the benefit strategy in a minute. But as you move through the program, so to set the context, we'll set the strategy. When you move into identification, you'll make a start on benefits profiles, and they'll become more robust when you do the detailed profiling, and then you need the plan. And it's worth thinking about what is the differences in those documents. So our strategy is going to set out why we're doing benefits and how we're going to do them. The benefits profiles are going to set out what the improvement's going to be and where is it going to appear. And the benefits plan gets down to the next level and says who's going to be delivering the change and when will it happen. So they are quite different concepts within these documents, and it's good to keep them separate. Otherwise, you end up with a right old mess of data spreading across these documents. So that's how you control benefits going forward. Now let's think about what's this strategy about. Well, the strategy, when we're thinking about our environment, is really setting the, if you like, the terms of reference for how we're going to deliver it. And all those things that we've just talked about should be embedded in your strategy. So who's responsible for what? Who is the guiding mind? Who is going to own individual types of benefits? Who's going to make sure that those financial savings are produced? Who's going to make sure that the communities receive the benefits? We need ownership. We need to think about where are the reviews going to take place? Who's going to check that we're on schedule to deliver what we've promised? And realization, where are they going to happen and when? Yeah, and this stuff around process is what processes are we going to use, first of all, to identify benefits, then profile them, and then make sure they're delivered through measurement and monitoring. And the other thing is, an important one, is strategic alignment. Your program is probably being launched to achieve some sort of strategic objective. Now, that strategic objective may not actually have benefits associated with it. And it may be that you are being expected to produce those benefits, and that you may find that the strategic objective doesn't actually have benefits associated with it. So the fact you are delivering to strategic objectives is in effect a benefit in itself, but we'll come back to that later. Let's think about the 3 levels of governance. We'll do more detail at a later stage, but we need a portfolio board. Yeah. So if you have, MSP calls it the sponsoring group, but what is the overarching governance around your program? It could be that you're simply reporting into an exec board or a management board somewhere, but there needs to be something in place that is overseeing but the programs in your organization. It's likely to be more than one, and you'll depend on each other. So that governance needs to be there. And that board needs to also think, if these benefits are spread across a number of organizations, yeah, it could be a partnership that you're working in. Some people are getting different types of benefits. How is that guiding mind going to work? We would normally expect that to be a portfolio level if it's a complex program. If it's a relatively contained program within an organization, then these things might be able to sit at a program board. Now, in the program board, we've got to think about, we've got the program manager who's delivering the capability, and then we've got this role of the business change manager or the senior business owner, or whatever you want to call them. They are the people that need to own these benefits. The program manager doesn't have to do it. The program manager is enabling the benefits, putting the processes in to provide the controls and to make sure the projects deliver the capability. Impact assessments are done. But the business change manager, as they call it in MSP, or senior business owner that's being used in other organizations, they're the ones that have to deliver this change. So really, they're the key players when it comes to benefits. And at the project board, who's doing what? So you've got the project board, you've got your project exec, you've probably got a senior user and a senior supplier if you're using Prince2. What are their roles in responsible for benefits? The senior user at the project board is making sure the requirements are being delivered. Why? Because those requirements need to be at a certain level to enable the capability to drive the outcome so the benefits can be released. So benefits are cascading all the way down through this. Okay, that's the overview of what we're going to cover in the module. I hope you enjoy the functionality that we provide and some of the little examples and suggestions. The case study is incredibly important as part of this module, where you go away and look at the Nightingale hospitals, and also you need to be doing the assignments for yourself. So you go back to your program and put this into place. All right? Well, good luck. I'm sure you're ready for a cup of coffee after listening to me. Enjoy the course, and I'll see you in the next module.